Call the meeting to order, and we'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Always in front of it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our first order of business is the approval of the minutes from the April 22nd, 2025 meeting. Does anyone have any comments, corrections, changes, additions to those minutes?
For my name, it said should be Vok. It should be V, and I did the letter.
Yeah, Michelle's just.
Okay, and you notified Michelle and she'll correct it. Okay. So can we then have a motion to approve the minutes with the one correction of the name?
Yeah, I'll approve it. I motion to approve.
You make a motion?
I'll second it, Johanna.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously, Michelle. Our next item of business is the public hearing for the villas at Seneca. I think I'm going to do a little update. We currently have sent the information for the project onto Onondaga County for their review, comment, remarks, which is part of the typical procedure, and then would follow with seeker process after we see the county's comments. I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll motion. I'll second.
Chris? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'd also like to make a motion to waive the reading of the public hearing notice.
I will motion to waive it.
Oh, you'll motion to waive it? Okay.
Seconded, Johanna.
Johanna, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous, Michelle. Welcome, everyone. It's nice to see a turnout. I'd like to, at this point, invite the applicant to speak about the project and tell you all about what the project is. And then after that, we'll allow the public to comment and speak. I just would like to make a couple of points about that. Please address your comments, questions to the board and not to the applicant. It's not a question and answer session. We're here to hear what you say so that we can take it under advisement. Please be respectful to the board, the applicant, and to your fellow public would be great. And we'd like to set a speaking limit of 3 minutes for each person. And I think that pretty much does it for the cleanup business. And if you would like to come up and provide a presentation.
Sure.
You want an easel? You have a chair easel?
Yeah. I want it.
Good evening. My name is Julian Clark. I'm with Plumbing Engineering. We're the civil engineers.
Julian, you want to turn and face them because we've seen.
You've seen it.
Yeah, I mean, I know that's typical procedure, but it'd be more important for them to see it, I think, at this point.
I'm here with Carl Ashley. He's the developer for the project. We are proposing a 19-lot subdivision on the property, 8-acre property, bordered by Gentry Street. Tappan Street and some residential lots are to the south. Seneca River, more residential lots are to the north. And then Cook Street and residential lots exist to the west. The lots will be over 7,500 square feet in size, which meets the zoning of the property, which is R1. We will also be meeting all the setback requirements for that zone. There'll be public sewer, public water. Stormwater will be collected and directed to a stormwater management area and discharged off-site. All that will be done in compliance with the DEC Stormwater Management Manual. There'll be one public road crossing the property. We will be using a portion of Gentry Street here, up closer to Tappan Street. That portion of Gentry Street will be rebuilt to village standards. The road itself will be 24-foot wide with a 60-foot right-of-way. There'll also be a sidewalk provided for public connection and access. As far as some due diligence, we've done an archaeological study that was completed. Nothing of significance was found, and that's been submitted to SHPO for their review. We submitted the JD request to DEC. They came back that there's no wetlands on the property. We've submitted the capacity assurance to the Onondaga County Department of Water and Environment Protection. Have not received a response back from them. That's just to assure that the system has adequate capacity, the public sewer system. We also did some test pits on the property to evaluate the soil conditions for the road and for the stormwater management system. And then that's my spiel. So anybody have any questions or comments? We're here.
So we'd like to allow public comment at this point. When you step forward, please state your name and your address for the record. Yeah, Michelle is spitting the list. Oh, good, then I can take them in order. Thank you. Appreciate it. Jane Denniston, Maggie?
Yep.
Thank you, welcome.
Thank you. I live at 117 Cook Drive, and I've lived there just shy of 40 years. The property has been bought and sold. Mr. Erminger, I understand, owned it first when we moved into our property, to our house at 117. He kind of abandoned the property, which the wooded area behind us, where this division is going, was completely overgrown. There was dumping of trash, bicycles. My husband and myself and a couple other neighbors decided the bugs were just so bad in our backyard, we had to clean them up to some degree. Not make them ours, just clean them up to keep the bugs down. And the poison ivy, which I've had many years of. But we did it, and they're still just woods. But throughout that 40 years, I've gone back there and kind of tried to keep track of what is going on, because we've had people partying back there and things like that, just to let the people know, yeah, people are watching this. You know, and when Courtney bought it, Courtney knew that I was doing that, and he's like, thank you. And that was all well and good. And then Courtney moved on, and as he moved on, luckily, or unluckily for me, I had a very bad accident. So I wasn't getting back there as much to make sure about the partying and things. But I still have tried to keep it, walk through it. Well, as I was walking through it one day, Mr. Carl Ashley introduced himself to me and proceeded to tell me that he owned that property and that most of the neighbors were infringing on his property, which with Courtney always said, you know, you can do whatever you want to back here, but just remember it's my property. If you want to move it back here, that's fine, but just remember it's my property. All good. Mr. Ashley introduces himself and says, this is my property, and a lot of you are infringing on it. You need to vacate it, get whatever you've got off it. And I had a dog pen, so I put it back on my property. He also told me that he and his wife would be residing at the property right at the river. That has hence turned out to be a Airbnb, which we now put up with all summer long, parties, fireworks, all kinds of shenanigans going down there, which did not happen before. It was all quiet. But since it's become this Airbnb, it's part of USA. He has not moved in, and I understand that his previous wife had died, and I'm very, very sorry for that. He also informed me that I could let all the other neighbors know to get their stuff off his property if they were impinging upon his property. Now, this is a number of years ago, when he first purchased the property on the river. Me not knowing, he never bought the wooded area. So he was telling us to get off his property, which we had already had an arrangement with Courtney that we were fine. He also informed me that he would be putting a road right down so that my backyard butted up to the road. So I would have been double fronted. I would have a road on one side of me and a road on the other side. Which I am very glad from the plans that's not happening. He didn't, when you meet somebody, especially in woods, it's just not very neighborly to say, well, you're on my property. You don't even know why. I've got a wheelbarrow, I'm picking up stuff. So that kind of set a bad tone for me. He rented his property on the river to a couple who were a lovely couple. Our dog got off the leash one time, and they caught the dog and brought it home. They were lovely. I found that I found out that they were being taken to court for things that he failed to do on his property. So I'm just telling you this mainly because I'm not against progress. I got it. But don't lie to me the first time you meet me.
Yeah, so I think we really want to focus on the project, and your time is getting close, so.
Okay, well, what I'm saying to you as a village, you're entrusting your business sense with a man who is already lied to me and a few other neighbors. And that's what I'm just trying to tell you. Is
Okay.
it's not being a good neighbor.
Understood?
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Next, we have Carol Kranz.
I'm at 12 Gentry, which is the corner of Gentry and Tappan Street.
Okay.
That property does have a little oddity to it, that it has a small strip of land that's part of that 8.5 acre parcel. When I took the property over 3 years ago, it had been abandoned for about 7 years. And it's been a labor of love the last 3 years, renovating both inside and out. That strip of land, as was the rest of the property, was extremely overgrown. Had numerous unwanted animals that had made their homes in sheds and holes and briars. And we've sown and cleaned the place up and removing rotted old wooded structure, rotted old fences that were a danger. And I have not had any interaction with Mr. Ashley, but he didn't complain that I cleaned that up and kept it mowed. So I'm assuming that that was okay because I didn't receive any communication to the otherwise.
I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you.
I'm corner of Gentry and, yeah, so it's just a really odd strip of land there. But I've reviewed past meeting notes to get caught up with what was going on, and numerous places it was listed about keeping things consistent with the village. Having the same setbacks, having the same width roads, having the garages positioned properly. Less of a concrete keeping with the village. Every time you drive the village, we are a quaint village, not unlike Skaneateles and some of the other small communities. And Baldwinsville has had the honor of receiving Arbor Day Foundation Award for Tree City USA. And as this development goes in, and again, I'm not opposed to progress, but in keeping with the consistency of the village, I would hope that as many of the mature 100, 200-year-old trees that are part of this can be maintained, that it's not just going to get leveled flat like the cemetery lot is across the road.
Okay.
My other question is, if you were standing in Tappan Street and facing north towards the river, has it been laid out yet? Is it the west side or the east side of Gentry that will be widened to make the progress for the improved road? Can anybody answer that?
West side.
The
Your
west
side.
Okay. And from how wide it is now, how much more does it have to be widened to meet the village standards?
8 feet.
Okay. And then next to that will be the sidewalk, or is the sidewalk within the development?
The sidewalk will extend up along that right away, yes.
Okay. So I would like to point out, if you're coming from the Tops area and driving into Baldwinsville, the village sidewalk ends at Frawley, and there's no sidewalk that would extend to meet the one in Gentry. And I am out in my garden quite a bit, and there is a lot of foot traffic. So I don't know if that's something that the village could consider. Again, consistency for
I think for
what's
that
there.
item, I talked to the village board because they do have a sidewalk program and they do improvements, and that often happens that the sidewalk ends, at a development or something with the idea to expand it when there's a program that allows it to, or a new owner or development or that kind of thing. Village is very, very active in trying to do that, so I would start there for the sidewalk part.
It's not going to benefit me because I don't get around very well, but when the village installed that speed sign by the corner of Frawley, everybody's taken that the opposite of, I think, how it was intended. And you see it blinking in 45, 45, and they come to that sign, they slam their brakes on. And coming out of the village, as soon as they pass the sign, they accelerate. So there are going to be some pedestrian safety concerns there that I just wanted to point out. And in regard to the stormwater, tell that there's a plan for the north part of the property as it does slope gradually down towards the river. But with the development of Gentry in the beginning and it being widened, I have stormwater issues already, so I wanted to make sure that things are happening properly for that. And if I may just give something to the board, you've got it for future reference, and I'm sure it's not concerning to anyone else, but I've got a couple pictures to give you. That's all right.
Thank you.
I have always been concerned that my taxes are going to be raised for waterfront property. Because there's no storm drain from the village limit as you move towards Gentry Street. So everything from the cemetery washes on down there.
May we keep the photos?
You may. Thank you. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have Debbie and Frank manager.
Andy Walker.
Thank you.
My name's Frank Vandy Walker. Me and my wife live at 123 Coke Drive.
Okay,
And we're concerned about the road that's gonna be coming in here, extending Hunter. Is that gonna be gated so that nobody can come through there, like that is at the other end of Hunter? That's a question we need answered.
okay, I don't know the answer to
No,
that.
when can you get me an answer? Do you have an answer? You're not gonna have an answer? You're just gonna let people run through there? Or?
The road will not be gated,
No, so it's gonna be open to the public?
yes.
Well, that's the concern.
Why is it
Why
closed at
does
the
it-
other end? Gonna be closed for the Crego project, but it's not gonna be closed for this. We get a ton of turnaround traffic in our driveway from the Airbnb as it is now.
Why can't that road go somewhere else, back out to Gentry? Through
Make a
lot,
loop.
through lot 1 instead of coming out onto Hunter?
I mean, I'm gonna step outside my shed and I'm gonna be on the road. I mean, that's just,
No answer? It's not really our place to answer, it's to take comments.
Well, it's a
Okay, well,
question that
it's a question that you need to find an answer for.
Absolutely, and
Because we
that's,
don't want the traffic going through there. It's bad enough as it is with this Airbnb that he's got in there, people come in
So,
there
could you
5
just
times in, 10 times out, 5 times in. 10
clarify
times
for
out.
us, please, for the record, that the road that you don't want to continue is from the end of Hunter into,
That's correct, into
Gentry?
that piece of property that
show them on
he's
the
building.
thing.
from the end of Hunter?
Yes.
Okay,
And who's gonna maintain that in the wintertime? The village, town, who's gonna maintain it? Seeing how one part of that road is on the village
It doesn't
property.
get plowed well as it is.
The other
because
part
it's-
is Van Buren. So, yeah, these questions need to be answered. We don't want the traffic, basically, is what I'm concerned about. Thank you.
yes, thank you. Okay, next is John
Fellows,
Bell,
is there gonna be a public dock
a public
for
document.
all those people? Because you look on the map, they show a right of way to the water. Yeah,
The right-of-way is a drainage easement.
but they're not gonna have it,
No,
not really, it's not an that one.
not in the plan.
You sure?
I'm pretty positive.
Because it's gonna be all party all the time.
Yeah, I don't expect so. I live in the house on the corner there, and I do live there 9 months out of the year.
Which one?
127. The one you're claiming to have, be in our Airbnb, I live there 9 months out of the year.
I didn't
And-
say that,
And I intend to, and the vacant parcel, I actually intend to build a house on,
and
something smaller.
these ain't gonna end up apartments either, right?
No,
The right,
single-family residential homes.
it should go to you.
Because they're awful small.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I just try to
Yeah.
direct back to the board, please,
Yeah.
because we need to hear your comments so that we can take notes, write them down, and address them as we
Yeah,
move forward
because
in
if
the
they have a
process.
public dock
So-
down there, there'll be parties all the time, like she says.
Okay,
And when Gentry Street, they're not gonna go all the way down with that?
I beg your pardon, sorry.
They're not going all the way down Gentry Street?
No,
It should be, would it look better if it's the same?
well, they're improving the road for the development.
Yeah, but they should continue the rest, just so it looks the same.
That's outside the development, so that would be a village choice if the village wants to do that.
Because it's coming off that road.
Okay? Noted,
I think that's all I got.
thank you. Next we have Julian Clark.
That's me.
Clark? Oh, sorry. Why is that name sound? Christine, I'm sorry for murdering these names.
That's okay, please move on. I'm not here, that's just because we're here.
Okay? And Erica Valentino?
That's me.
Hi.
I live at 111 Cook Drive. I'm a fairly new resident, lived there about 2 years. So I guess I have more questions than concerns at this point. In the past, this project has been brought up. I was just wondering why it didn't go through at the time.
Well, I think there have been numerous discussions, numerous layouts, numerous options, and it just kind of never really went anywhere. It's not that it was turned down or anything, it just kind of, it's been perking, I guess you'd say.
Okay. And I guess my concerns would be mostly the traffic, and my property backs up to these new houses. So it would be the privacy. So I'd be interested in some sort of fence or barrier, like vegetation of some sort, if that's possible.
Okay.
And I guess the traffic would definitely be a change in the flow of things in our neighborhood. And then these would all be single-family homes, correct? For sale? Or are they rentals?
I'm not even sure we're that far in the process, but the intent was single-family homes and for sale.
Okay, could that be rezoned to be like rentals? I'm just curious if that's ever an option in the future.
Well,
They could be,
you can rent
buy
your
them
house.
so the people can rent them out.
Okay, but they're gonna be for sale
Yes.
For someone to own, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
But they could eventually, people could buy them and rent them.
Yeah. I think that's
Kind
all
of
I
like
have.
anywhere in the village, if you own a house, you can rent it out.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if they were for an apartment kind of
No,
situation.
they were intended to be single-family homes.
Okay,
No.
okay.
Full purchase.
I think maybe it's somewhat intentionally geared towards seniors, but if they're single-family for sale.
Yeah. So are they gonna be, they're not duplexes or double homes?
We're kind of not that far in the process to actually answer
I'm
that.
just-
I'm sorry.
Well, it changes the traffic,
Of course
there's
it
more
does,
people,
yeah.
more traffic,
So
so.
that's a concern for
Yes.
you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cook is really narrow.
Yes. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak? I don't have any more names on the list, but I don't want
I
to.
think there's another sheet.
Oh, there's another sheet. Yes, sir.
I got one question. When you...
Excuse me, can you state your name and
My
your
name
address,
is Robert
please?
Polson.
Okay.
When you go down Gentry, the new portion that's going to be rebuilt, once you get past that, are there going to be driveways on that, the old part, or are they going to be on the new road? I mean, I don't want a driveway going over to the old part of Gentry if it's not going to be
Can you
fixed.
show him on the plan?
Yeah,
And
the
what was
intent
your-
is-
What was your address? I'm sorry.
1 Gentry Street.
Thank you.
The intent will be the driveway will be on the road.
Okay, so that'll be backyards then on the
Yes.
old part of Gentry. Okay.
Sorry, pardon me while I write some notes. Okay, anybody else that would like to speak? Yes,
Michelle Polson, 1 Gentry.
okay.
I'm just curious, and I was a little bit late, so it may have already been asked and answered. Has there been an environmental impact study with wildlife and/or vegetation, water? Any studies as far as sanitation for the new units?
Okay,
So some of those will be part of seeker, where we're
Right.
taking comments down and jotting down notes and some people's concerns. But things like the water, sewer, letters, stormwater management plan. We're going to need a more detailed layout of utilities before any kind of approvals, that sort of stuff. They will have to get a SHPO letter clearing it for archaeological significance.
Right.
There does not appear to be any wetlands in the site, and the only endangered species listed is the lake sturgeon.
Okay, so
Yeah, we can't hear him.
I was trying to let him finish. Basically what Greg is saying, Greg is the village engineer, is that what the things you're asking about are part of the seeker process, which is a big long form that's filled out, and we work through the approvals on, and it addresses all of those things in that form. They've started to fill out the form. It's not complete. We haven't reviewed it. We haven't approved it, any of those things. And Greg was just saying the only endangered species it mentions is the sturgeon.
Lake sturgeon.
Lake sturgeon.
What about bald eagles?
They're actually not listed as endangered any longer. So as part of the secret process, I'm jotting down notes as everybody brings up issues that we're going to look at. They will have to provide a little more in-depth preliminary plans. They will need to get the sewer capacity signed off by WEP. We will need a preliminary stormwater report and plan for management of that stormwater. They provide road profiles. We do look at things like endangered species. We also look at things like historical and archaeological significance of things in the site, which there is a note in the EAF map where it says that it is a potential issue, so they will need to go to the state and get that clarified. So these are, and it's a long form seeker process, so there's a lot of issues that get mentioned, and some things pop up and some things need to get further studied. I don't see this being anything that's going to require an environmental impact statement that somebody mentioned. It just doesn't meet that threshold, but that doesn't mean that things are not going to need to be further studied and elaborated upon. So we're in the early process of that at this point. That's part of what this public hearing is for, is to bring some of those issues up that we need to, maybe we're not aware of that need to be further addressed.
Right. That's what I alluded to at the beginning. We're early in this process, but we felt it was important to have the public hearing early before we get to that process so that we can address your comments along with all of these other things that Greg has mentioned. It makes a lot more sense to listen to you now than when we're already almost under the seeker process. Yes?
Teresa Polson, 1 Gentry Street. I'm just curious, I'm hearing people concerned about traffic flow. Does there need to be that many units built? Could they cut down? I mean, most people today with cars, 2, 3, 4 cars parked in a driveway, and traffic flow starts to increase. I'm sure maybe not 19 units, knock it down a little bit, give people more space for their home and their family. I don't know, it's just a thought in regards to the traffic. I can understand why you want to keep the traffic flow open for emergency vehicles. If you need the fire department, the police department, you don't need a gate up, I think, for that. So if people have an emergency, they would definitely want to have somebody involved in that situation, but maybe not as many units if people are concerned about the traffic.
Okay,
Just
so
a
the
thought.
lots do meet the village code requirements,
Yeah, yeah.
and the setbacks.
And this, yeah, but just a thought in regards to people's concerns about.
Pointing out that we kind of took care of that one for you. Anybody else? Yes.
Has there been any, crime study? You're gonna need more people, you're gonna need more police, ambulances, fire. Has any of those studies been done as to how to cover additional houses?
We haven't done a study, no, that's not typically what we would do. We would generally have the fire department review, particularly for turning radiuses and that kind of thing, because that's part of the process.
Yeah.
They won't let us build the road if it doesn't let the fire trucks turn around or make the corners.
Right.
So there's a whole software package that actually will take the road and run through it and make sure that the fire trucks have enough turning radius and can, turn around, because fire trucks don't back up. Anyone else? Okay, thank you so much, all of you, for your comments. We appreciate that. We appreciate your candor, your politeness. Thank you very much. I think at this point, does the board have any additional questions? No, okay. And I guess at this point, we could entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
When are we gonna have another meeting?
We have monthly meetings
About this particular,
on any project that's coming before the planning board. Every month, there's a meeting. And if you can't attend the meeting, it's also on PAC-TV.
okay.
Yeah, every meeting is taped for every board in the village, so that, you know.
Is there a meeting next month?
There will be.
That's what he's asking.
There will be a meeting here. It's posted on the village website when the meetings are. The only indication there wouldn't be a meeting is if we don't have any business or anyone coming before us. For instance, if there's something that Mr. Ashley isn't ready for to meet or something, then the meeting would get canceled, but all of that's published on the village website.
So if I can assist, so the next thing is, this is a public hearing. There's enough information here to have a public hearing, but there is more information that's required from the applicant in order to pull it to the next step. So I don't know, our engineer's going to do a report and say, hey, here's stuff that's still missing.
Yep.
And some reports that are missing. And when the applicant gets us the information or enough information to come here again, if it changes anything, then we'll come here again. There is the regular scheduled meeting in a month. I don't know if that will be sufficient time for the information to be gathered by the applicant. In which case, we won't meet with them again until they're ready.
Correct.
So
I would check the village website because that has the meeting agenda. You know, if you're only interested in this project, if you read the agenda, it will tell you if this project is on, because it might be another project that, you know, isn't in your backyard if you. So, oh, yes?
I have a question. Regarding this project, what is the timeline that we're looking at?
I think initially you were 2 years.
What's that, as far as how long for the build out?
Yeah.
I would hope to have it completed within 3 years, or 2 years if possible. Would depend on who I partner with for the build out, or if we decide to build on our own.
Yeah.
I'm 62.
So up in the air a little bit,
I'm thinking
so-
3-4 years, I want to be done.
What's that?
I just
Just gonna burn up this piece of property and take off?
I still live there, sir.
Yeah.
And just for clarification, maybe in the meeting notes that will be posted after, you know, the ones that were approved, but reviewing the past meeting notes, you're seeking permission from the church or the cemetery to use their portion of the road for improvement, for access for everybody that would need it on Gentry.
We are no longer doing that.
Okay, so that
Yeah.
isn't happening then?
No.
Okay.
No. Okay. All set, Jane?
All set at my end, you know, we'll get this information and then we will have a seeker review. That'll be the next thing that happens.
Right.
And then an approval, should that be
Correct.
the right direction.
Yes, yes, ma'am. So, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion.
Kevin?
I'll second. Chris.
Chris? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for listening.
We appreciate your input.
Who wants a copy?
So they're posted on the website.
I know.
How are you? Oh, no, they're still going a lot of process. I think the big thing is probably the DEC, the wetlands. Oh, it's, the processes are. Did you get interpreting this draft? They were waiting for this project to fall through. Thank you. Yeah, okay. Can I have a motion to close the meeting? Chris?
Seconded, Johanna.
Johanna, all in favor?
Pretty good, they give me about 90 days, and I got it like 30.
7:40.
Use my